Thomas Green here with Ethical Marketing Service. On the podcast today, we have Emanuel Svechinsky. Emanuel, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Thomas. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. Would you like to take a moment and tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Absolutely. So my name's Emanuel, and I'm the founder of the F Principle, and it is the leading company that helps people conquer fears. But to get there was an entire story. I grew up fearing absolutely everything, no matter what it is, whether it's heights, whether it's, asking a girl out, or whether it's, climbing up anywhere, playing tennis, playing football, bugs, you name it. You name anything, I was afraid. I was bullied for that because, growing up, I had a lot of setbacks as well, such as I had a lot of ear infections, which pretty killed off my entire hearing. So I was deaf for a bit, and then when I moved in, I moved from Latvia to Canada, I was able to get a bit of my hearing back. So that's why I have my headphones on right now, because I can't really hear well. So that really played around with my balance, and I would get vertigos, and people would make fun of me for that. And yeah, it was just a whole roller coaster of just people making fun of me, giving me anxiety, making me afraid of everything. I was afraid to go to school, afraid to get A's, so that people will make fun of me. Oh, he's a nerd, or oh, he thinks he's so smart, and so forward. Then when I was 15, my dad passed away, and I was pretty much taken to a psychologist, psychiatrist, and they were telling me, Emmanuel, you will never graduate high school if you do not take these pills. It was, I think Adderall was the pills of choice for ADHD, and some antidepressants they prescribed. I didn't take any of them. I went on graduating high school, got into the entertainment industry because I was so scared of being myself, so I decided to put on a mask to be someone else. It was almost like the Conor McGregor of entertainment. So I got into the entertainment industry, started doing magic, showing magic tricks, and built a name for myself over 18 years. But the little old me who was scared, afraid of judgment, afraid of, not being good enough, I was still there. So even with a mask on, I was still unhappy. And it was a mess. I call it, the wrong side of heaven. Well, people see the good side, they don't really see the bad side of me. So I decided, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I want to become better. I tried studying why I'm afraid. I tried to overcome fear. I tried to read books on it. It just doesn't work. So that's when I started coming up with what can work. And that was my own thing, which is the fearless mindset exercise, which helped me to conquer fear. And that's exactly what I help people do. I help people conquer their fears so that they can become a superhero-like figure. They may seem fearless, even though it's impossible to be fearless, but people will see them as fearless. They'll be able to do anything they want, when they want, how they want it, without any hesitation.
Thank you for the thorough introduction. I almost felt like I was getting ready to sit in for the full life story there for a moment. I was like, sit back and get the popcorn, right?
Well, this is the short version. That was the short version, man.
But I do want to jump in with some questions. So you mentioned all the list of things that that you were afraid of. Why do you think that you were fearful of so many things?
I used to be afraid of everything because that's how I grew up. My parents were, I'm not saying they were bad parents, they were amazing parents, but growing up, let's be real, parents don't want to see their kids hurt, right? So it's like, oh, Emmanuel, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And in the back of my mind, I was like, what if I do it? Will I get hurt? I don't want to get hurt. The fear of heights came from me falling down 2 steps. That's the core fear, right? It was just 2 steps that I fell, and then I was afraid I don't know why. So it took from when I was a kid to when I was, let's say 13, 12, 13 years old, I was trying to go on a roller coaster, and I was still afraid of heights. I was like, oh crap, I can't do this. I was so petrified of roller coasters that my legs would start shaking. My stomach would churn, same with spiders, right? Spiders, people would say, oh, those spiders are poisonous. I was afraid of animals because I was afraid of getting hurt.
Well, I think that does come from, or at least there's some psychology that I've heard about overprotective parents, where if they're too overprotected, then they can develop fears in the way that you have highlighted. Would you say your parents are overprotective of you?
Um, my mom definitely, absolutely. And I do believe that if the parents are a bit overprotective, the fears will become stronger. Because what happens if they're not less overprotective? Sure, you'll get hurt, but you will learn, right? You will learn. Okay, maybe putting your hand on an oven inside an oven is not a good idea. I mean, that's a bit of an extreme situation, but there's so many things that I feel that people can learn if they just start doing things. I found that people tend to grow up afraid to make mistakes because they're said, oh, don't do this, don't do this. When you go to high school, you're told what to do. You're told how to be, how to act. And you don't get that opportunity to be yourself.
And
Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. In your story, would you say there was an element of bullying? Because, I mean, during a story, I mean, everyone has their stories of, being made fun of, but when it becomes regular and maybe a little more intense feelings, then it crosses the line into bullying. How severe was that for you?
I mean, in elementary school, I had garbage bins put over my head and drummed on. I was called a monkey wool. Get my pants pulled down. It was pretty intense. I mean, I wouldn't say I had people tie me up and hang me upside down on a pole or anything like that. Nothing too extreme, but it really got to me because when people made fun of me, it got me thinking, hey, maybe I'm not good enough. And it kind of filled me in with rage. That's where the whole entertainment career started.
Mm. So,
right? And I was like, yeah.
Why did that happen? I mean,
why did I get bullied, or?
Why did you get into the entertainment career as a result of rage?
Well, my family always taught me, hey, you know what? You got to be the bigger person. And I took it to an extreme. I'm like, I will be a bigger person. I'm going to get so big, so famous that people will regret they bullied me. And that was the anger behind it, which kind of led to a whole different scenario, I guess, different level of the person what I could have become.
Mm.
I didn't get violent. It was more like, hey, I'm gonna show you. And I put my entire life trying to prove myself that I'm a bigger guy now. I'm the hot shot now.
Would you say that you achieved that? I mean, I know that conquering fear is a separate issue to this, but would you say that you achieved the goal that you wanted to, which was showing someone that you could be better?
Absolutely. I mean, I've done a lot in the entertainment. I performed in front of over 40,000 people. I was painted on a mural, featured in television shows. I was featured in magazines. I did that, but I did it for the wrong reasons. And what I've realized was people didn't even care. The people from high school, they just carried on with their lives. They completely didn't know who I was anymore. They saw me as a whole different person because I did take on a different name. So it's kind of funny. It's like, I did it for myself. I know I've done it, but no one else does. And at that time, I was trying to even go harder, be like, okay, they will know, but they don't care. And I think a lot of people need to understand that not many people care about them.
So did it make you feel better in any way?
Right now, I'm totally cool with it. I'm actually happy because I was able to get out of the entertainment industry, right? But at that time, I was like, yeah, I guess my ego went over my head, I'm like, and I would be like, kind of upset, like, how do you not notice me? You bullied me and look where you are and look where I am at, I start comparing. So that's a funny story, it's just, you think you're doing something, but if you're living life towards someone else and because of someone else, you're not living life for yourself.
Mm. And is that the point where you start coming to this philosophy when you decide to get out of the entertainment industry and start thinking
Well,
about conquering fear?
I was like, the whole thing was I want, like, the original idea was for me to be in the entertainment industry for a very short period of time. But fears got in the way. Hey, Emmanuel, you can't do anything beyond what you're doing right now. Entertainment is all you've got. No one will listen to you. No one will like you anyway else. And it took me a while to get out of it, but I wanted to get out because I wasn't happy. The truth is, I was not happy while I was in the entertainment industry. I was afraid of everything. And how can you be happy if you're afraid? You can't, because fear takes control over you. And when you're not in control, you're not as happy.
And what was the process for you to go through going from afraid to, should we say you are unafraid now? Is that accurate to say?
Well, no. Look, I do not believe. I only believe. Sorry, I believe that there's only two types of people, two types of human beings that are fearless: psychopaths and liars. That's it. Fear will always be there, but now the difference is I don't live in fear. I'm not in control by fear. I'm in control of the fears, right? So if I feel a fear coming, I know how to conquer it. I know exactly what is the reasoning behind the fear. Why am I afraid of this? And then I'm able to turn it around and use it as fuel. As I say, make it my B. It's a B word.
So would you say you are just as afraid as you used to be, but you know how to deal with it?
No. Before, here's what happens what is fear, right? For me to explain this question, I have to explain what fear is. Fear is an emotion caused by the belief that something bad or negative is about to happen to you, right? It's a belief. That's what it is. It's all in your head. And when you keep it inside your head, it grows and grows and grows. It's like feeding a mutated bug that's going to grow and grow and then outgrow you. And when you overcome fears of what I was doing before, you think you're just jumping over a cliff or over the gate or over an object, right? But the object is still there, right? Let's say there's an object in front of you and you just go over the object. The object will still be there. It'll still haunt you. And that's exactly what fear does. What you have to do, and it's what I've learned to do, is to take that object apart bit by bit until you find the core solution. And the core is always so tiny, so you can squish it. It's like a bug almost, it's like, ew, boom, and it's done. Right? But if you don't control it, right, it'll turn into stress. It will stress you out. And stress will turn into anxiety. It will cause you panic attacks. And then if you don't treat anxiety, it's one of the leading causes for depression. I'm not a doctor or psychologist by any means, but it's facts, right? So what I've done, I did the reverse psychology. I used to struggle with depression. Why? Well, I would get anxious. Why? I would get a lot of panic attacks, and I don't want panic attacks. Why? Because I'm overstressed. Why? Because I'm not in control. Why? Oh, because I'm afraid of something. So that when you reverse engineer the whole process, it becomes so clear that it's always the biggest problem is always fear.
I do have a theory, which is a lot of times people don't realize that they're afraid of something. So it may only register that they're afraid once you start getting these stronger feelings like you were alluding to. How often would you say people are afraid? Or in your experience, how often did you used to be afraid and maybe not even notice it?
People are constant. If you're not in control of your life, you're always afraid. A lot of people don't know that. In fact, you look at the statistics in Canada and the States, over 75% of the population is afraid. They're not in control of their life, right? They're not in control, especially, when it comes to finances, right? I think if I remember correctly, around 13% of the population are actually happy with how much they make. So let's say you're working 9 to 5 or 9 to 9, and you're not happy with how much you're making. Can you truly be happy?
Well, I suppose that goes into the definitions, doesn't it? Because, I mean, like happiness, I would say, is one of those things which is fleeting. So every now and again, it's like an emotion. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're not. But probably with fear, you can probably be in fear a lot more than you are happy, right? So,
That's the problem with society. People are more afraid than they're happy, and they think that is okay. They think it's okay to just be happy here and there. The truth is that you can manifest your happiness on free will. And you can only do that when you're doing what you want, when you want, how you want it, with whom you want it, wherever you want it. You know, people, I mean, there's a story, okay? It's about how the person responds. It's not about what's happening to you, it's about how you respond to the situation, right? Sure. Let's say the whole virus situation, we're not in control of it, but what we are in control of, how do we respond to it? Will we let it control us, or will we take control of the situation? Right? My wife and I were traveling last year, all year round. And I mean, mind you, we were keeping safe, right? We were getting tested, making sure there's nothing wrong, but we were traveling. We were in the States, we were in Croatia, we were in Tanzania. There's so many places we've been to, and we've been flying, and it's because we decided to take control of our lives. Right? A lot of people are locked up. A lot of people are blaming the virus because they are stuck at home. Stuck at home, right? But if you don't like it, what are you doing about it? People play the victim card a bit too much. Right?
And I suppose in that particular instance, I think that I mean, I'm sure you were being careful and everything, but there is a kind of, even if you're careful, there is still a possibility for spreading to happen. And if someone else gets it, then they may not be as have a good immune system like most people do. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people were at home. But I understand what you mean in terms of, if you just let it dictate what you're doing, then, it kind of plays into that fear that you were referring to.
Exactly. And that's the thing, sure, there's always going to be risk, right? Look, you can go outside and get hit by a car randomly. I mean, it happened to me. Thankfully, it wasn't too bad, but it happens. And it's as dangerous as going out and doing anything. You go to New York City, chances of you getting robbed are pretty high if you're in the wrong spot, in the wrong place, right? So what are you going to do? Stay home and let the fear of getting robbed control your life? The chances of you getting bullied in school are high because that's where bullying comes from, school, right? The popular kids, the nerdy kids. I was always a nerd, right? And what are you going to do? Not go to school, get self-taught, not make friends? It's an emotion caused by the belief that something bad or negative is about to happen to you.
Have you got any thoughts on the difference between fear and danger? Because I feel like that's what we're touching on here. So my interpretation of it, at least when talking about conquering fears, is that it's almost like unjust. So the fear is something that's not going to help you, but if it's actual real danger, then that's a logical feeling to have. What are your thoughts on that topic?
Well, danger, you gotta understand what depends what danger means to you, right? If you're gonna go to a dangerous neighborhood, if you can avoid it, why not? If you know it's dangerous and you're going in there, that's it's not something to be afraid of. That's just plain smart. To avoid danger is a smart thing, right? If you're in Hawaii and you know that a volcano is about to explode right beside you, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna conquer my fears. I'm gonna face this volcano. That's stupidity, And it's a lot of people they think that if you conquer your fears, you're gonna escape danger. Danger can always be there. If you go and face on with a cobra, and you don't know how to manipulate the cobra or how to grab it by the tail, then you're not being fearless. You're just being I'm sorry, but you're not being smart about it. If you're going to go and play with a tarantula, that's one thing, because if it bites you, it'll just paralyze you for a bit, right? But if you go play with something that's super poisonous, you get a cobra bite. If you don't get the treatment enough, you got to get your part of your body cut off to stop the spread of the poison, right? You got to be aware of the situation. You got to be aware of the surroundings, right? So you got to see the difference. Okay, there's fear, and here's the value. What do you want to achieve, right? So, for example, I used to be terrified, petrified of heights. And then I realized, okay, well, what will I get if I reach the top of something? So when I was climbing up a big temple in Mexico, I wanted to see the views. I wanted to feel the breeze. Was it scary? Absolutely. But when I did it, I understood, okay, I'm not going to let a fall from many years ago stop such an amazing experience. And ever since I climbed that mountain, I was able to go and climb in Croatia. I went on legitimately like the top peak of a castle. And I was standing and I felt that breeze just hit me, on the peak. It was dangerous if I didn't have balance, right? If I was to fall, yes, I would have died. I don't recommend it to anyone to do that. Was it smart? No, but it was awesome. It was the reward of it was truly something that is like an experience of a lifetime.
It's interesting, coming back to the kind of like the Python example, because it's the difference between, you said it wasn't smart to do that, or it wouldn't be smart to do that. And the reason I want to explore it is because, like, you could look at going into business as people have a fear of going into business, right? But the statistics on failure within business are, pretty staggering in terms of the amount of people that actually succeed. So what do you make of that in terms of the fact that people are fearful, but they're encouraged to do it, but also the probability is quite high that they won't achieve it? What are your thoughts on that?
The reason why people don't achieve things is because they give up, right? When it comes to business, look, I had all the fears transferring from a successful entertainment career to doing what I do now. I had a massive following that I was afraid it was gonna just really ghost me completely, because I was no longer the person that they followed, right? And that's what happened. So what do I do? Do I give up on the business, or do I start from scratch? Of course, my goal is to help people. I have to start from scratch, and I will not give up until my goal is accomplished. So the reason why people give up is because they're not in control. They're not in control because they're afraid. The biggest fears in business is not being good enough. And when they feel like they're not good enough, they start fearing judgment of other people. When they fear judgment of other people, they feel like they're not good enough, they start sabotaging themselves, telling themselves, yeah, this business is going to flop. It's a normal process in business. It's like an up and down, because a business is a life form. If a business is a straight line, just like a person, the business is dead. You win, you lose, you win higher, you lose higher. It's a risk. But if you start your own business, look at the bright side, right? A lot of people, they tend to focus on the negatives. What if it doesn't work? What if this? People are going to laugh. But what if it does? Have many people even considered the benefits that people will receive when the business peaks? When they actually achieve what they've dreamed of achieving for their entire life? It's a beautiful, absolutely spectacular feeling. When a person comes up to you, hey, for example, Thomas, this podcast has changed my life. Thank you. How would that make you feel?
Depends on how it changed their lives.
For the better, of course.
Yeah, that's pretty rewarding. It's the most rewarding thing that you can get, right, over anything else. So
Exactly.
but yeah, I wanted to, because basically we've got on the show we've got someone who's an expert in fear, and I haven't asked you how to overcome fear. So if someone is afraid, what do you tell them?
If someone's afraid, I'll tell them, listen, you can either conquer your fears or let fears control you. I'm really watching my language here. So yeah, you have to conquer your fears. Absolutely have to. Don't overcome them. Overcoming does not work. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken bone that's sticking out of your flesh, hoping the Band-Aid will put the bone back inside your arm and heal itself. No. If you have a broken bone, get a surgery. Conquer that problem. Stop overcoming them.
So how do you conquer your fears?
It depends on the fear, right? There's a 3-step process that I talk about, okay? Number 1, understand that the fear exists. Accept that the fear is there. Number 2, identify the root cause, and that is the hardest part. Where did the fear come from? What's the origins of the fear? Because when you find out what the origins is, you'll be able to conquer it by doing what needs to be done to understand. Like, for example, with my fear of heights, 2 steps. I let 2 steps control my life for many, many years. Once you know that it's 2 steps, you realize, okay, I can do this. Find the reward. Because when it's like in business, right? If you're making a sale, someone will give you money if the reward is higher than what it's worth. Do a sales transaction with fear, right? Don't make it your friend. Don't make it an ally. Don't put it in the passenger seat. Put it in the fuel tank.
So let's take it back to our business example for a moment.
Yeah.
Someone's watching this and they're considering going into business, and they're afraid because they look at the statistics and they say, I don't know if I can be that. Well, it's like after 5 years, I think it's like 20% or something like that. I don't know if I'm going to be that 20% who survives. So I don't know that there would necessarily be anything in the past that would make them think, I need to overcome, or I'm using the wrong language there. I don't know if there's something which they could look to. What would you say to that person if they said that?
Conquer your fears first. Don't start a business if you are scared. The reason why people fail in their businesses is because they start with a scared mentality. They're afraid. They're afraid of failure. What's going to happen when you're afraid? You're attracting more negativity. Negativity attracts negativity. Positivity attracts positivity. Right? You can't in business, you need breakthroughs. Would you agree?
Well, this segues nicely. So you asked me a question, and I got one back to you. So what is the fearless mindset?
Well, the fearless mindset is essentially what it is. It is a tool that I've created that turns into a lifestyle over time, which allows you to understand who you are, what you love about yourself. It's an exercise that I've created personally that has been changing lives. It's been used by a psychologist in New York, in a school in New York, a school psychologist. It's been helping thousands of people right now. And it's a very simple exercise. And I actually do have a challenge for that as well that I give out to people. Here's a challenge, the 7-day challenge. Do it and you're going to see your life change. It's just going to blow up. If you take it, and all it takes is 15 minutes a day.
So how do I complete the Fearless Mindset Challenge?
Well, the challenge is actually available on the website, but here it is for all the listeners. All right. If you want to get the challenge, message me, because this is specifically part of a course that I'm offering, but I will just give you the challenge. But if you want that, you have to know the list of what you love most about yourself. That will give you the idea of who you are as a person. What are you? What are you made of? Right? Then you want to know your greatest accomplishments. So you know what you've done in the past. You're able to see, okay, if I'm going to start a business, is it possible now? Probably not, but then let's look back, look at what I've achieved, right? It has to be personal, right? And then you got to know what makes you laugh, because knowing what makes you laugh will get you out of the negative mindset, will get you out of the negativity. Because when you laugh, I mean, Thomas, I challenge you right now to try laughing without smiling. It's impossible, right? And when you smile, it's scientifically proven to make you happier, right? So that's the challenge. You do that 15 minutes every day. Practice this. Write the list, memorize the list, remind yourself about it 15 minutes every single day, and you're going to notice monster changes in your lives. Like, you're going to be happier. Right? I do this. I've been doing this for the past 4 years now. That's why when you start your day with positivity, right, negativity doesn't stand a chance. If someone cuts you off, you're like, okay.
Can you share what your answers are to those questions?
My answers? Absolutely. So what I love about myself is my smile. I love my style, I guess my clothing style. I love how, I love, my wife is actually looking at me right now and she's like, okay, yeah, this is fun. So this is so easy for me because I've done this so many times, right? So my eyes, my smile, my height, I'm 6'4", right? I love the fact that I'm super positive. I find the answers to any problem. So I'm a problem solver, right? Another thing that I love about myself is the fact that I want more adventure. I never give up. I always look forward. Number 8, okay. I love the fact that I always look forward. I love the fact that I'm able to help people conquer their fears. And I love the fact about me that negativity has no say in my life. That's for what I love about myself. My greatest accomplishments, let's see, graduating high school was huge for me, right? When I was 15, I told you, I was told, you're never going to graduate high school if you don't take these pills. I graduated. I started a business on my own, had no help, from scratch in the entertainment industry. I performed in front of 40,000 people, right? Then I was painted on a mural. I was in movies. I was in magazines. I helped several thousands of people in over 80 different countries. I have released a very powerful course called the 4 Keys of Conquering Fears Blueprint. I have 2 more courses coming up, which I'm pretty much done with them. Just got to edit them. And number 5, my achievement is I'm able to do what I want, when I want, however I want, with whom I want.
That must make you happy then, yeah?
I truly, like, I can't say I'm the happiest person on the planet because I don't know how other people, I don't know everyone in the planet, but I am actually happy. I'm extremely happy. There's nothing that can make me unhappy. If something comes my way that's going to take my happiness away, I'm able to convert that and be like, okay, it's not going to affect me because I don't let it.
And remind me, what's the last question?
The last thing was, what makes you laugh? So what makes me laugh, honestly, Modern Family, a show called Modern Family, parrots swearing on YouTube. I think his name is Max the parrot. Like, whenever I want to laugh, I just watch that guy's hilarious. Then I guess animals attacking humans, for some reason that just kills me. The Simpsons makes me laugh. I make myself laugh sometimes. Funny noises. My wife kills me sometimes. The humor. She doesn't give herself enough credit for being. She's hilarious. I love it. Usually I focus on like 1 or 2. I haven't been needing to go to this list. This is the list that I've had, probably will have the most troubles with. But number 8 of what makes me laugh is probably my nephew. He's funny. Then my brother's dog, Rocky. And I've said funny noises, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so another thing that makes me laugh, memes. You can't go wrong with memes.
A good meme. Who doesn't love a good meme? And
Exactly.
you do that every day.
Every day.
That's pretty cool.
Now it became to the point where it's subconscious. Like it's like I wake up and it's like boom, I've done it.
And would you say that's one of the ways that you conquer fear, or is it?
Well, that's the beginning, right? That's the first step, right? You gotta get your mindset in the right place, right? Because fear is attracted by negativity. It will not come at you when you're feeling happy. Let's be real. When you're feeling ecstatic, when you're having the time of your life, has no place in your life. It's not there. It's in the back of your mind, waiting until you're feeling like crap, until you're down on yourself, sabotaging yourself. And then it'll be like, hey, yeah, this is going to be fun now. You don't do this, this, and this. You're a failure. You're this. And it's not going to stop. So that's why I always encourage people to conquer the fears ASAP.
And how would you attract more happiness?
First of all, by knowing who you are, loving yourself more, right? There's an entire section, right, where you start attracting my happiness by doing the fearless mindset exercise. You got to be getting wins every single day. You wake up, right? You wake up early, do your bed. You're a success, number one. Fearless mindset exercise. You focus on yourself first, right? That's another win. So when you win, you're happy, right? If you're not winning, what are you doing? You're either dead or you're losing. It's always win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. But if you can just win, 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 or you can win and lose and know that you're lost, that you're going to be able to bounce back into a higher win, that's another thing. When like anything really makes me happy. Like it's about gratitude, understanding what you love, what are you grateful for, right? If I trip and fall, I'm like, okay, I'm clumsy, cool, right? If it's in business, if someone tells me, hey, Emanuel, I don't think this is going to work, I want to find out why, right? Because I too, like, especially when it comes to mentorships, like I do offer mentorship programs and I specifically choose the people. I don't just do it. I don't just help anyone. I can't, because the people have to be open to receiving help. They have to be open to receiving their mentorship. If they're not open, I'm not going to accept them. And my main thing is I want to keep my business at 100% success rate.
Have you got any thoughts on fears when setting goals? So to give you some more context, there's a somewhat of a debate between SMART goals and goals which are, we call them big hairy goals or whatever they might be. So the question is, should you make your goals realistic, quote unquote, or should you make them, audacious? And how do you think fear plays a part in that particular conversation?
I love this question, man. I absolutely love it. So if your goals do not scare the hell out of you, your goals are too small. SMART goals are the worst goals possible. I do talk about that. I'm not joking. I have a boot camp coming up, and I do talk about setting impossible goals. And there's a meaning behind it. Impossible goals builds resilience. They build mindfulness, right? They make you more aware of exactly what you want, where you want to go. If the SMART goals, the realistic goals, right? Something that's realistic for me may not be realistic for someone else. Something that they feel that they can, I mean, I don't know about you, but if you see that you can grab the goal, if you like, that's going to be boring. You're going to get lazy. Like, yeah, I know it's there. I know I can get it when I want. So I'm just like, whatever. But I want to keep, like, you get lazy and you don't go for it. Because when you get that goal, what do you have to do? You have to set up another one. What does that mean? It means, oh, more work, damn it. Right? I like a goal, right? Have goals that are, I mean, performing in front of 40,000 people. For me, that was impossible. Impossible. But if I was like many other magicians thinking about, okay, I will focus on making money and doing kids' parties at a very low rate. That's one thing, I mean, good on them. But I was aiming for what I cannot get. because the reward will be that much higher, right? For example, if you have a goal, let's say your goal is $100,000, right? And you're only going to get 20%, no matter how much you're going to work. And I'm sure that may be realistic, 100,000. But if you set it up for 10 million and you're going to get 20%, what do you think is more? Where you're going to get more? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The difference, you're going to get 2 million versus 100,000. Sorry, versus 20,000. If you're going to get 20%. So why settle for less when you are meant for so much more? And it's going to be difficult, of course. $100,000 is a lot easier to make than 10 million. No doubt. But isn't it that much more worth it to get more than you can ever get? People tend to set their expectations very low because they want to feel good about themselves. They want to say that, okay, I've achieved this goal. Okay, cool. That's absolutely cool. Awesome. But what now? And they're like, I don't know. Right? I mean, you gotta, the main thing you gotta do, like honestly though, as much as I promote impossible goals, if they do not make you happy and they're not for you, don't go for them. Right? Because they're not for everyone. They're not for everyone. That's just my opinion. But if you want the most out of your life, you got to set impossible goals.
Interesting. It's interesting to see the different takes on this particular question, because I certainly seem to be on the set very difficult goals side of the equation. But the other take is that it's if you can demoralize people through, it depends on how they are, I guess. So would you say it's possible it's subjective? But if you're driven by achieving great things, then setting a realistic goal is a disservice to you. Whereas if you're driven by goal achievement and you don't meet that goal and you get demoralized by it and don't bother trying anymore. Any thoughts on that?
You know what? Listen, at the end of the day, it's based on a person, right? Like you got to understand, if a person is goal driven, is the person happy being goal driven, right? There's so much to it. It's the psychology behind it is to build resilience. You will fail. You won't fail. You will make mistakes. You will lose, and that's okay. It's okay to lose. I honestly, I endorse losing. I love losing. Whenever I make a mistake, I am so thrilled because why? I learned something. Whenever I lose, if you want to achieve goals, you got to be open to losing. Because if you're not losing, then you're just like drifting, achieving goals, but they're meaningless. I mean, there are probably people that are absolutely fine and okay with working 9 to 5, a simple job living a simple life. That's totally cool, right? I'm not judging them. I'm not judging anyone. But if they want more, they absolutely have to set goals that they cannot achieve, because these goals will make you hungry. They will make you like an animal. You look at I don't know. Do you follow UFC?
A little bit.
So you look at the fighters. They're fighters that, oh yeah, I just want to fight. Cool. And then there are fighters like Conor McGregor. He set impossible goals for himself. He didn't want to be the champion. He wanted to be the face of the fight game. Being a champion is just a reward, just another target, just a trophy for him. Right? So, I mean, I'm in this life to build a legacy. That's what I'm after. If people don't want to build a legacy, that's totally fine as well.
What is the legacy you're trying to build? Because that's an interesting topic.
Well, I want my name to be around for generations, like way beyond. In fact, I mean, me being a nerd, as I am, I do believe eventually there will be like like a whole entire multiverse of traveling or aliens. I want to have like an entire satellite out there with my two favorite words of attacking fear. I'm not going to say it because I respect the whole policy, but it's F fear, the F word fear. That's exactly it. And that, like, I want people, like, whenever they fly out into space, I want them to remember that. I want people to understand that fear has no longer in there, like in this life. I want to inspire at least 7 billion people on the planet, to have at least what, 80-90% of the population conquer their fears. I want people to know my name so that whenever my time has come to go, my time has come to an end, that my family will be treated with the same amount of respect that I was, and for generations to come, because that's how much I've helped people.
I almost sort of feel like an applause is required after that.
Sorry?
An applause. You should get an applause really after that.
Well, listen, an applause or no applause, to me, the legacy is what I'm after. I used to be after the applause. I used to be after, hey, let's take a photo. Now it's all about, hey, how many more people can I help?
So how do you become a superhero-like figure?
Conquer your fears, be in full control, because that's going to give you the ability to do what you want, when you want, how you want it, right? And think about, as let's say you're going to, you want to do something, you go ahead and you do it. There's no fear stopping you. You want to take someone for skydiving, go skydiving, because people are petrified of fear of falling, and skydiving. And sure, there's one I don't know the stats, but a very tiny percentage that of an accident to actually happen, but it's like you can do anything at any time. That's a superhero, like that's a superpower, really, to do that right thing all the time. And the right thing to do when you're not when you're not controlled by fear, you're acting out of love. And that's always the right thing to do.
Do you think that the fear and the comfort zone are one and the same?
They're not the same, but they're good friends. The comfort zone, I truly believe. Yes, they're like pals. They would chill out together, but they do come together. When you're comfortable, when you're setting smart goals, and you're going for comfort, you then become more afraid. Because when you're comfortable, you're doing the same thing over and over. You refuse to do something new. Why? Because, hey, I don't want to leave my comfort zone. The comfort zone itself is so mesmerizing and it's so manipulating. Like, I've been there. I've been in a place where I was like, yeah, I'm comfortable. I don't want to change. I don't want to do anything. I just want to chill out. What happens then? Career starts going downhill. But I don't care because I'm feeling good. I'm comfortable. And I don't like being comfortable. I really don't. I like being on the edge. That gives me the advantage because I'm always hungry, right? I mean, people say you get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I'm not a big fan of that phrase in general, but it does make sense, right? The more comfortable you get, the less you want to become uncomfortable.
Mm. Have you got anything that you think would be valuable to the listener that I haven't asked you about today?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can say is stop overcoming fears. It's the biggest mistake you've been doing for most of your life. That's honestly it. Stop overcoming fears. It does not work. It will only makes things worse for them.
So it's probably worth a follow-up. Can you make a distinction, or what's the differentiation between conquering and overcoming fears?
So, like I mentioned, overcoming fears is like jumping over the fear. You're going around it, but you're not doing anything about it. You're just jumping over and carrying on with your life. Or rather, moving on right? You don't want to move on. You want to move forward. Because when you move on and the fear is still there, it's just chilling with you. It goes with you. It doesn't disappear. The fear will always be there. It will haunt you. It will beat you down, and it will take control. But when you conquer it, you're facing the fear, you dissect it. As I mentioned, dissect the fear, find the exact root cause, and that root cause is a little bug controlling a big thing.
And that's
Squish
like
that bug.
it's a past experience, essentially, which is creating the fear in the first place.
It's the past experience, and also it can be the unknown. You've created an image in your mind to the point you've made it so big. Like what happened with me when I fell off 2 steps. To me at that time, it felt like I was falling forever. Like 2 steps when I was, what, 1 or 2 years old. It's like a huge fall. And I was afraid. And to me, as I was growing older, it seemed like it was bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Right? That's all it is. It's a misconception. You create a scenario. It's like, for example, if you're trying to ask a person out, you can go out and ask the person out, or you're going to be thinking, hey, what if this person says no? Why would this person even like me? So and so and so. Same with money when you're asking for a raise, right? Or if you want to start a business. If you're not conquering your fears, if you're not committing to the actions, because without actions, you're not going to get anything, right? So you're only going to come up with more scenarios in your mind.
Can I ask, I always ask about goals, as I said beforehand. Are your goals different than what your legacy is?
Nope, my legacy is my impossible goals.
So,
the satellite, 7 billion people helped.
Have you got micro goals to achieve that macro goal?
The micro goals, I tend to break them down into targets.
Okay.
And I look at them as like a sniper. I just snipe them down. If there's what do I need to do, right, to achieve that? I find out what I need to do. So if 7 billion people, I want to achieve that at least by 65. So what I'm doing right now is, last year I helped 1,500 people conquer fears. This year my goal is 15,000 people. And next year, 150,000. The year after that, 1.5 million. So I'm doing, what am I going to do that, right? So eventually it adds up. So when I do that, it becomes easier. If I help 1,500, I know I can do 15,000. If I do 15,000, I just got to ask one of the people that I've helped to bring in 10 people. That's it.
And how do you measure that?
I have courses, right? I look at podcasts right now. I'm starting to go more on podcasts. I'm going for some television interviews, magazines I'm opening up to. So I'm opening up to other ventures. Before, it was just courses. How many people have taken my course? And I get the statistics. Now I want more, right? If I'm to make more, I can't keep on doing with the courses alone. I got to spread out.
Sounds good. Emanuel, where's the best place for people to find you?
The best thing is Instagram @thefprincipal, or my website, www.thefprincipal.com. If you have a question, there's a button on the bottom right corner. Ask a question, I will respond to it.
Okay, well, I'm certainly, after the conversation, I'm certainly thinking more about how I can conquer fears rather than overcoming them.
Boom, there you go. Another person added to my list.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Thomas. Thank you so much.